Hello, this is student meteorologist Chandler Pruitt with FSU Weather. We are going to go over the severe weather outbreak in the southeast. Both I, Robert, and Zach and Evan here on the show, we will be going over the dangerous conditions that are unfolding in parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. This has been expected for a couple days now. However, it is a very serious situation nonetheless. And we are also looking at potential severe weather outbreak tomorrow in parts of Georgia and the Carolinas. But today we will be focused on that severe weather threat that is going on in parts of the deep south, especially in parts of Mississippi and Alabama, which currently are having many types of warning coverages. If we will look at that map, Evan, zoom in and see. All right, so we can see that it's a pretty busy map, actually. We have multiple cells across the Mississippi and Alabama region. This is, of course, due to a cold front that has swept through parts of the plains. It developed in the plains, and really it is just making its way towards our region. We can see that this is the line. This right here represents where that cold front is. However, ahead of it, we have a lot of discrete cells, is what they're called, or isolated cells is another way to put it. And these usually have the individual characteristics to produce violent and long-track tornadoes. And so this is an extremely serious situation unfolding in parts of Mississippi and especially in parts of Alabama, which currently is having about, if we zoom in right here, it's probably about 5 or 6 warnings across parts of Alabama. You see that we have warnings in Thomas and right south of Demopolis, and again, all these cells are pretty much discrete, which means that they are very isolated, and they're really just producing very strong winds and conditions that are likely for a tornado. This is why they have these warnings issued. We have a warning issued for, I don't know which exact warning, but they're basically ongoing from now until about a few minutes from now, and they'll probably renew as they get closer and closer to South Birmingham. And of course, we are looking at this situation, and it is extremely dangerous. So going over what you can do in the severe weather threat, of course, if you are in one of these warnings, you're watching this right now, I would suggest that you take shelter. So if you are in a house, make sure you get down into the lowest level of your house. If you are in a one-story house, then stay on that one story and go into a central part of your home. So that may be a bathroom or a closet. Just make sure whatever room you're in, it is not on the exterior walls. So that means all your walls are surrounded by more rooms. By doing so, you'll shield yourself from the worst of the tornado if it were to pass through your home. And of course, as well, if you are in a situation where you're driving, make sure that you hit those ditches if you see a tornado, of course. And if you can't find a tornado, or if you can't see the tornado, but you are driving, please try to find shelter sometime or somewhere off the interstate or off the road that you're driving on, because again, being in cars, being in mobile homes, being, of course, outside, that's just an extremely dangerous situation, and it's best to seek shelter. Now, of course, looking south of Tuscaloosa, we can see that there's a tornado warning for an extremely strong individual cell. We can call this a hook echo, basically. So we have this little twist on the south part of the storm, and that basically is where that tornado most likely is. And it's just east of Tuscaloosa. It's really hitting those suburbs. Of course, thankfully, University of Alabama has canceled classes for today. But if you are in this region, I would suggest immediately heading towards an interior part of your home, interior part of your apartment. Make sure if you are in an apartment that you go into the bottom basement. Of course, if you already know where you're supposed to go, go there. If you don't, head down to the lowest level of that apartment building. And of course, we can see, zooming out, that these storms are headed towards Birmingham, Alabama, which of course is one of the biggest population centers for Alabama. And this is unfolding in a serious manner. Of course, hopefully, most people are being warned of this at the moment. Of course, we can see that this cell will stretch its way up through Brookwood and Bull City, as well as parts of Adamsville. So again, really hitting those suburbs outside of Birmingham. And this is an extremely dangerous situation. And we also have another tornado warning just north of Birmingham. So again, maybe Birmingham won't see a direct strike, but if you are in this region, be on the lookout for any possible tornado warning. Of course, having a NOAA weather radio is great. If you don't have that, make sure that your phone is fully charged and able to get a signal, in which case you will get the warning from the National Weather Service, which will go directly towards your phone. Also, stay on top of it with TV, of course, going on broadcasts and such. So, of course, we know James Spann is covering this region. He's probably the best to tune in for Central Alabama, seeing those warnings. But when we go off into a little bit parts of southern Central Alabama, we can see this other cell that is just really producing potential for another tornado. And it has, again, that kind of shape. It's not necessarily a hook echo, but it's pretty close to it. It's, again, one of those dangerous types of storms. And you can see that it really is going pretty quickly across parts of the central South Alabama region. We see that Rays, Crossroads, as well as Bowden Grove will see potential for this cell if it continues to ramp up. Again, this environment that we are seeing today is one of those environments that can feed these storms for a long time, producing long-track tornadoes and very serious situation. So again, this storm, even if it's pretty far south of you in places like Folsom, you still should take precautions because again, it can reach you guys in pretty quick heartbeat. And of course, since it is a potential for a long track system, we would suggest that you guys find interior parts of your home or find areas that are safe within your apartment or whatever. If you are in a mobile home, the suggestion is to leave the mobile home and find another place. Even if it's a convenience store and find a bathroom in the convenience store, go leave your mobile home, leave whatever not sturdy structure you're in. If you're in a car, you need to find a place to go now. We're looking back down towards Demopolis. You see that there's this storm system that really is just dragging across Marion, Alabama. And again, this is an extremely strong storm as well. You can see that there's probably a rain-wrapped tornado in there. So you really won't be able to see it until it's too late. Again, that's why it's so important that you go ahead and respect the polygon and get to your safe spot. Again, so we're seeing probably conditions that will reach parts of Sprott, Alabama by about 3:21 p.m. So again, pretty serious conditions, and it will reach you guys in the next 10 to 20 minutes. So even if you aren't in the immediate polygon, I would suggest taking the precautions and go ahead and get in your safe space. It is an extremely dangerous situation. And again, I do suggest if you are in a car, getting off the road immediately. This is not a day to travel. Even if you do have a place to be, you need to get off the road immediately. Take the day and just get off the road. Looking back at Tuscaloosa, again, this is an extremely dangerous storm as well. We have a hook echo, pretty prevalent hook echo, just east of Tuscaloosa. So again, it's a pretty strong storm that indicates that it is wrapping on itself. It has a lot of rotation, and it's probably rain-wrapped as well. So this means if you don't see it, that doesn't mean it's not there. It will be there. And so just take the precautions, respect the polygon, and get in your safe space. Get inside the lower parts of your basement if you are in an apartment or if you're in a home. And if you're in a mobile home, make sure that you get into another structure that is safe. And then looking across parts of Mississippi, you can see that there's still some of these discrete cells that could potentially feed off of the moisture and warmth in the atmosphere. So again, stay weather aware, even if you're in parts of Jackson and parts south of Jackson. And of course, we see this big, huge, heavy line of storms associated with the cold front. And this is a very streamlined event that is, again, dangerous. I think we'll have Robert start talking a little bit about that and emphasize the importance of staying safe tonight.
Right. Thank you, Chandler. This is the East Breaker. This is 2 tornado warnings right now in front of us at Farmerville This is the QLCS, of course. This line ahead of us, sorry, excuse me, we had a little bit of a mic technical difficulty issue here, but you can see this is out in Louisiana right now. We have 2 tornado warnings, tornado warned storms on the ground right now. This is a little bit of a different setup than the one in Alabama, of course, because these are with the line here. So these are a little more rain wrapped and a little bit harder to see. These are, of course, until 3:15 and 3:45. So we're watching these 2 cells here for tornadic development. Of course, we have nothing else on this line right now in Louisiana besides these 2 storms. If you are in these areas right now, you need to be taking shelter. If you are in these counties, of course, as we have said, is a very high-risk day. And, of course, in this area of Louisiana, this is a moderate risk, I believe. So we have reason to believe that these storms are very dangerous. So if you are in Sterlington, if you are in Bastrop, these areas of Louisiana out here, around 309 to 324, if it holds up to you for you guys in Bastrop, you need to be in your safe shelters now, because this is, of course, a potential tornado. And as we don't know if it's on the ground yet, but if it could be, you always need to be in your safe shelter just in case. We are also looking at this storm up here, looking at Crosset potentially being in the area for this storm. Maybe going to be, if it holds up, maybe going towards North Crosset at 3:21 p.m. So again, if you are near either of these storms right now, in these counties right here, you need to be in your safe shelters right now. Let's actually have a look back at the Alabama storms real quick here, because we do know those storms are still very active right now. There are 5 tornado warned storms on the ground right now. And we've been looking at this complex down here actually for the last few hours, because this has been producing quite a few tornado producing storms for the past few hours. This one actually near Demopolis actually was confirmed earlier. I don't know if that's still the case here with this storm, but as you can see, this might look like one big storm, but we are looking at multiple areas, multiple potential vortices with this storm. That's why we have so many different warnings here for you guys in Thomasville, for you guys in Butler and Thomaston. All of you need to be in your safe shelters now with these storms, as these are moving off towards the northeast. We're putting a track on this storm to see where it will be heading towards 3:20 p.m. Glover, 4:20 p.m. Atchison. If you are around the US 43 corridor, you need to be in a safe shelter. Now, if you're driving on US 43 right now, if you're driving to the north just south of this storm, or if you're driving to the south just south of Demopolis, pull over now. Go to a gas station or any sort of area that you can see, because it is not safe to drive in these storms. These are, of course, potential for violent long-track tornadoes here. So do not attempt to drive this out. This could be a very, very dangerous situation. Of course, we're also watching this storm here, moving off towards the northeast, going towards the junction of US 80. We're watching for Mount Sterling, Pennington for about the next 10 or so minutes, 3:17 for you in Pennington. Of course, Linden, you are outside of the warning for this storm, but if this storm holds up, it will get to you at 3:32. So if you are anywhere around these storms right now, you need to be in your safe shelters now, because tornadoes are often very unpredictable in the way that they will move, particularly these storms that could have the chance of being quite long-tracked. And let's actually put a track on this storm to see where it will go, because we know that this storm has actually had a history of producing tornadoes, and it has for the last about hour or so, even watching this storm. We're looking at places like Marion, Selma. In fact, Selma, you saw one of the first tornadoes of this event earlier. It was actually confirmed as it went east of you guys. So all of you need to be very careful of this storm. But right now, for this particular supercell, we're watching this potential hook for this tornado here. If you are in Browns, 3:06 p.m. As we go to Hamburg, 3:14, Marion, 3:18. And if it holds up for you guys in Adler, we'll be looking for a potential tornado here. You can see it is still moving off towards the northeast about. So we're looking at potentially about 10 to 20 minutes here of lead time. And this tornado warning is issued. So again, like I said, do not go out and try to see this storm for yourself. Many of these tornadoes will be rain-wrapped. And some of these storms, of course, is in Alabama. This isn't like the plains. You can't just go out there and see a tornado. Not, of course, that I'm recommending that. But here in Alabama, you particularly cannot do that, because there are so many hills and trees that are obscuring your view here. And I believe this is actually a new tornado warning on this storm here, if I'm not incorrect with that one. But like I said, with all these tornadoes across the entire state of Alabama, you need to be taking your safe shelter now if you are under a tornado warning. That means that the National Weather Service is extremely confident that we are seeing potentially powerful tornadoes, coming down here. So just go immediately to your safe shelters. Do not wait to see the storm. Do not wait to get confirmation. Just go now. I remember tornado outbreak in Alabama, the last major one, one of the chief meteorologists at the ABC station said something that I think is very prescient for today. He said, for many of these storms, we are in a very strong environment, and we are still in a strong environment today. With many of these storms, tornado warnings, we often say, oh, this is radar indicated. Oh, this is a potential of maybe being a tornado. We're not saying that today. Maybe they are radar indicated, maybe they are confirmed. Treat all of these as if they're confirmed, because many of these tornadoes can spin up very quickly, so make sure you go to your safe area immediately. Do not wait for confirmation. It could save your life. Right now we're watching with this storm, this Tuscaloosa supercell. It did miss the middle of Tuscaloosa here, but this is still a highly populated area, so we are watching for you guys right now. Maybe Lakeview right now, you're seeing 317, Bessemer 322. If we go farther out to Fairfield, that'll be 327 for you guys here. So again, this storm has been quite long track. We've been watching it since it's been in development, since around the Alabama-Mississippi border. It is still going off towards the north-northeast. So for you guys, we are still watching. If you are not under the tornado warning, but you are in the path of this storm, you still need to be taking your precautions, making sure you are ready to go at a minute's notice to your safe shelter. And an important note here across the entire state of Alabama, if you know you're watching this broadcast right now, or you're watching any other broadcast, and you know you have family across this state that might not be as in tune with the weather, please call and text them right now. Let them know that there is a very dangerous situation developing right now in Alabama. So we are still watching these storms. Make sure you let them know, and make sure you are prepared to go to your safe shelter. If I'm going to do a quick recap for all of you that may not remember your tornado precautions. If there's a tornado warning issue, go to the lowest area of your home, the interior room. And if you do not have, of course, a storm shelter is preferred for many of these storms, but if you do not have one, the lowest interior room. If you are driving, get out of your car and go to a building if possible. A car is the least safe place you can be in a tornado. And if all else fails, go find a ditch. I am serious. Do not be in a car driving when there's a tornado going nearby. This is an extremely dangerous situation. We're watching this supercell, of course, going off towards the north-northeast. We're looking at Locust Fork, 314, 318, and Nectar. If this continues on towards the north-northeast, near Brooksville and Blounsville, we are going to see this continue. Again, I usually say this if we're going farther out, just to warn you guys, because many of these are potentially long-track tornadoes that could continue to keep on through the rest of this evening. And of course, this is only one of potentially 2 rounds here. So again, like I was saying, it is extremely important to warn your friends and family in many of these areas. And we're actually going to look at this line in a second. I'm going to pass it off to Chandler to continue our severe weather coverage.
Yes, so we'll talk again about this line, this very strong line. It's going to have the potential to bring some very severe weather tonight for parts of Alabama and Mississippi, but it is still bringing severe weather to Louisiana. Louisiana is not out of the dark yet. We see that there are a couple warnings here, and of course some strong storms that aren't warned, but even if they're not warned, they're still very dangerous. They still can produce lightning and heavy rain. Obviously driving, make sure if there's a flooded road, turn around, don't drown. It is an overused term maybe, but it's still an extremely important term to know that you do not drive on those flooded roads. However, let's talk again about these tornadic systems. I think they just eliminated that warning that we were talking about. However, oh no, okay, there we go. They're still there. They're still there. They just disappeared for a second. We have storm south of Farmerville that is producing tornadic conditions that we do know that it's either radar indicated or it's been spotted. This is an extremely dangerous situation. You can see that there's a little bit of that curve that does usually indicate that rotation, and it is bringing potentially a rain-wrapped tornado across this area. We can see that it's slightly less populated, which is a good thing. However, if you are in Loch Lomond or if you are in Log Cabin, you can still expect to see strong conditions, potentially even that tornadic cell. Like we said, it is potentially a long-track tornado. However, once we get into this line, they typically aren't as long-track. That does not mean you let down your guard. Respect the polygon, especially if you're in Loch Lomond. It's about 3:13 p.m. You can start to see those heavier rains and potentially that tornado arrive in your home. So again, make sure you respect the polygon. Make sure you take the precautions and get to your safest place. Like Robert mentioned, getting down to a lower interior part of your building if you don't have a storm shelter, which of course in the southeast is not as much of a utilized utilized facility. But looking at this other system that is also warned, we can see that it is moving across northeast, and it will arrive at Philenthal at 3:13 p.m. and then make its way to Crosset by 3:25. Hamburg, you guys are way outside of that warning, but again, it could still extend to you guys. So again, stay weather aware. It should arrive about 3:38 p.m. So again, this is an extremely dangerous situation, and it will potentially bring some bad conditions across the region in parts of Louisiana. And as it makes its way towards Mississippi, again, it will be an extremely dangerous event. And once it gets towards nightfall, it will still be extremely dangerous. But again, let's look back at those cells. Again, we have another tornado warning, another one that has just been issued for this cell that is just east of Jonesboro, Louisiana. So again, this is an extremely dangerous event. It's a tornado watch, of course, for 7 p.m. across the whole entire region. This warning is issued until 4 p.m. Central Time. Again, it will make its way across this area, and it's an extremely dangerous cell because you can see that there's just this hook and this rotation, and it's also embedded in a lot of heavier rain. So even if you don't see it, that does not mean it's there. It's not there. It is still there. We can see that this cell is moving across parts of Louisiana, across 811 and State Route 811 in Louisiana, and it will make its way north of Chatham. And so again, if you are in these areas, if you are south of Ruston, it is still an extremely dangerous situation, and a situation you should respect that polygon and get to your safest part of your home. Or if you are on the road at all, make sure that you can find a safe place. Go even to a gas station if it's a big enough gas station. Find some sort of bathroom, some place that is more secure than your car, because again, a car can be picked up by a tornado very easily and dropped pretty far down. It can be picked up as high as about 20 feet sometimes, and then dropped on its head. And again, if you're in that cabin and it drops flipped over, then you're doomed. So again, it's just one of those situations where you need to take the precautions and get to a safe place. Again, interior room of a bottom floor building. And looking at this tornado warning south of Marion, Marion, Alabama. Again, we see that there's this strong rotation. Again, a nice hook. This means that this tornado is embedded somewhere within here. Unfortunately, we can't really see where it is. So that means it can be anywhere across this little section. So if you are at all in Alberta, Alabama, and then Selma, you guys just got hit by another tornado just about an hour ago, or at least a tornado warning. I think it was confirmed actually. So yes, you guys did. This is again another tornado warning coming towards your guys' area. It will be in Augustin about 3:17 p.m. and make its way to Bethel Grove by about 3:35 p.m. So again, these have the potential to be long track tornadoes that can carry along for several miles. Again, if it does do that, then even if you're not in the polygon, but you're ahead of the polygon, you should stay safe by going into the interior part of your room, and again, stay weather aware by turning on the TV if you have a TV in that room, or at least getting on your phone and checking the news sources. Of course, James Spann with ABC is one of the best sources for this event. He is a really good, informative person and meteorologist. So again, tune into these resources to keep you safe and informed. Looking back at this Tuscaloosa warned storm, it is now making its way towards Abernant, which is of course still south of Birmingham. I don't like how this track is setting up. It's getting pretty close to Birmingham now, and we need to merely stay safe across this whole entire populated region. So again, if you see yourself anywhere near this polygon, even if you're not technically in the polygon, it's still a great idea to get into the interior part of your home. And if you're on the road, of course, get off the road. If you're in a mobile home and you're not already in the polygon, get out of your mobile home. Again, so about 3:19 p.m., we can see that it will reach Johns. So Johns, you guys need to go ahead and get prepared. And then Fairfield, you guys are a little farther away at 3:33 p.m., but it still could reach you guys. Again, long track tornadoes have the potential to reach places several miles away from where they started. And so everywhere basically west of Birmingham should go ahead and prepare for the worst. That means getting into the interior part of your home, getting off the roads, and if you're in a mobile home, try to find a sturdier building now, ASAP. Extremely dangerous situation. Like I said, the Storm Prediction Center issued a PDS watch, tornado watch, for this whole entire region, which they don't do unless it looks like it's going to be a really dangerous event. It's different from a tornado watch in the general form in that this means that there is chances to see tornadoes of the strength of 3, 4, 5. So, of course, or even 2 is still dangerous. Even if it's 1. If it's 1, it still can be dangerous to you guys. So no matter what, even if it doesn't look like it's just a radar-confirmed tornado, it doesn't look like it's going to be that bad. Still, respect the polygon, respect what the scientists are doing at the National Weather Service and even on the television, telling you guys to stay prepared. Again, we have another cell north of Birmingham that's north of Palmerdale, and it looks like it is making its way towards Locust Fork and Blounsville. So, of course, if you're in Blounsville, make sure it's going to arrive by 3:32. So go ahead and get to your interior part of your building. And if you're in Locust Fork, you're already getting ready to get hit. So please go take shelter immediately now. It is an extremely dangerous situation. And of course, if you're in Brooksville, well, you guys are still not in the clear. We have more storms off to the west. So again, we have some strong storms that are going to make its way. This is just round 1 for central Alabama. You guys will see another round with this storm system over here in Louisiana. So again, it's a very strong, dangerous situation. And we see that there's another warning in Mississippi that is bringing conditions that are dangerous for parts of Red Bay and as well as south of Marietta. This is a very strong storm as well. You can see that it has a little bit of that hook, a little bit of that twist and rotation. So again, it's pretty dangerous, and it's a pretty dangerous situation that you should respect the polygon, respect what they're doing and the National Weather Service in this area, and really just take shelter immediately. Again, this is an extremely dangerous situation, and we can see that it's moving eastward very, very fast eastward. We can see that it will reach Belmont by 3:22 p.m. So again, if you're in Belmont, go ahead and take shelter now, get into the interior part of your room, or if you don't have an interior part of your room that is safe, try to find either a storm shelter, like Robert said. If there's not one, that's fine. Just find a building that has an interior part of the room. And of course, if you're in Red Bay, 3:31 p.m., it will reach you guys. You guys are still in that polygon, so really take precautions. Get to your safe place now. You have even more warning, so get there now. And if you're in Halltown, you guys are a little farther away, but it still will arrive in your neck of the woods by 3:36 p.m. So it is a dangerous situation, and I'll pass things off to Robert to really emphasize how dangerous these storms are.
Right. Of course, Chandler, as I said earlier, this is a high risk that is very rare. As you see, only about 1 a year. We actually have not seen one since 2019. So we are seeing the situation unfold for most of us. I'd like to actually zoom in on around Tuscaloosa right now because we're watching, of course, this storm right now that went through the area, the southern area of Tuscaloosa. And actually, I was about to mention this one right here. I was about to say, I'm really getting concerned about this one. I wonder if they're going to drop a warning. They did. And this is going towards the city of Tuscaloosa right now. If we could, it would be nice to see if we could see the velocity on this storm, see the actual couplet for this. I was just watching it off air and getting a little more concerned about that. But we are watching as it goes towards the city of Tuscaloosa. It is about US 11 going towards actually the central area of the city. We're going to see it's no confirmed tornado yet, but again, as I said earlier, it is important. If there is a tornado warning here, which there is now one for the central city of Tuscaloosa, get into your safe areas now. Don't treat this as if this is maybe radar indicated. We'll wait this one out. Go there now. I cannot emphasize that enough. You could be saving lives here by just telling people to go down and also just going into your safe area now. We are watching this will probably make it into the center area of the city within the next maybe 5 to 10 minutes. We'll make its way up to there, and then we'll watch the track of this one as it goes off towards the north-northeast, maybe near Brookwood at about 3:27, 331 in Birchfield, 336 in both cities. So again, as I like to say, these storms, they may not make its way out here, and we hope they don't, of course, but there is a very good chance that they could with these storms, because these are very long track storms. The environment is very supportive for these storms. But again, I'm getting increasingly concerned for the city of Tuscaloosa here with this storm. And I saw a couplet earlier here. I don't know if it's still there, but it was a very tight couplet with the rotation there, and is moving towards the city and towards Northport right now. So if you are there, if I'm naming your city right now, get underground or get into an interior shelter now. Get into if you're in the city of Tuscaloosa, if you're anywhere north of I-20 in this area, I-20, I-59, you need to be getting into your safe shelter now, Tuscaloosa County. I cannot emphasize that enough. We are also watching this storm over here. It's moving out towards the north-northeast. This one is also tornado warned. It's important. Again, we are seeing, like I'm seeing here, you can see a classic hook right here with this storm. We never like to see that. Seeing a classic hook right here, we never like to see that. That means that both of these storms are rotating and have the potential for a tornado right now. Treat these as if they are a tornado on the ground. We are seeing, as they're moving out towards the north-northeast, 324 in Johns, if it might hold up, we'll go 338 Fairfield, and this one is potentially a little bit concerning, because if it holds up at 345, it could be making its way towards Birmingham. Of course, you are not under a risk city of Birmingham right now, but you will need to be watching the storm as it continues on. It'd be important just to make sure that you are prepared to go to your safe place. If you are in this warning right now, get to your safe place now. You have no more time. Do not take time to prepare. Just get your kids, get a pillow to cover your head if you are going into your safe space, and get your pets. Just go there now. For areas ahead of the storm, you still have some time to prepare. Get your belongings. The bare essentials possessions don't matter right now. We're just worrying about people's lives, and this is a situation that we do not see too often. And we never like to see severe outbreaks like this repeating. We never like to see them verify. A lot of my friends are talking about this. Maybe it won't verify, maybe it will bust. And unfortunately, it looks like this is a very historic severe weather outbreak currently underway in Alabama right now and parts of Mississippi. We're watching this storm at Trafford right now as it makes its way off towards the north-northeast. We're seeing maybe 330 by Rosa, 339 at Altoona. If it makes its way continuing past probably about maybe 10 to 20 minutes here, if it continues to hold up, it could make its way towards Sneed, probably about 344. Again, we are not necessarily saying a tornado is on the ground with these right now in these areas, but if you're in this polygon, treat that as such. Make sure you go underground. I'd actually like to look at the line out west real quick to see what the progress on that is on, because that is actually our next sort of bringer of storms here. And there are still those 2 tornado warnings right near I-20 going towards the Monroe area. If you are in the city of Monroe, you need to be preparing to go into your safe shelter right now. Of course, you are not under a tornado warning yet. It is areas just north of Chatham and south of Farmerville. You need to be getting into your safe shelter now if you are in a tornado polygon here. Of course, you can see this storm right here producing some circulation going off towards the north-northeast. We're going to put a track on that one and see where it'll go if it continues its speed. Probably about 330 in Carlton, 332 in Downsville, and if it keeps going toward Wacomond at 347, you could see a tornado potentially there. But make sure, again, this is a very dangerous setup. I've been talking about Alabama. We've been talking about Alabama a lot. But this is an entirely dangerous setup for the entire southeast here. So if you're in Louisiana, if you're in Arkansas, if you're in Mississippi, if you're in Alabama, if you're even parts of western Florida Panhandle, you need to be making sure you are ready for a situation like this. That tornadoes could spin up at any minute right now. This storm, again, a tornado-warned storm making its way towards US 165, US 425. We're going to put a track on this one as, again, it moves off. Most of these storms are moving towards the north-northeast. Spencer 327, but you are very close to the center of that storm right now, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's over now. Log Cabin, maybe 342. Beekman, probably 345. Makes its way towards Bonita at 349. So again, this storm is, we're watching for a potential tornado warning here, but right now, if you are anywhere in that polygon, it's going to probably affect us over the next 10 to 15 minutes. So again, if you are in this tornado warning, you need to be taking your precautions now. This is a tornado warned storm, and it could have a tornado associated with it. As it's making its way, ride that out. Wait until this storm passes. Go into a gas station or another building. But again, I cannot emphasize enough, if you are in any of these tornado warnings, please take precautions now and go to your safe shelters immediately. Now I'm going to hand this off to Chandler to look at more of our Alabama storms.
That is right. Alabama, you guys are still not out of the clear. Unfortunately, you won't be out of the clear until about 1 a.m. or so tonight. Again, we have a very busy radar. Above Warrior, Alabama, we can see that there's just this very strong storm that's producing a lot of rain, probably a lot of wind as well. So again, we're focused on the warnings for the tornadoes because, of course, tornadoes can be the most dangerous element of weather there is. But there's always that element of heavy rain and hail that is also dangerous. Again, we have this warning that is stretching from Warrior, Alabama up to Oneida, I can't say it. But anyway, so stretching from, so we can see that it basically goes up to about Locust Fork by about 3:29 p.m. So again, that's a pretty dangerous situation for you guys. You guys are in the polygon, so take precautions. Go ahead and get into your safe place. And then looking at Fowler Springs, you guys are looking at seeing the storm about 3:41 p.m. So again, pretty dangerous conditions. This event is still a big time event, even if it's not a tornado warned event. Again, we can see that it's just very messy radar in general. We can look at Birmingham, but again, I think we should go back to that Tuscaloosa tornado because again, that is an extremely dangerous event in a very populated center. You see that there's this strong hook echo that is producing, there's twisting winds, and it's again making a very dangerous situation for residents in Tuscaloosa. Again, thank goodness that University of Alabama canceled their classes for today. You can see that there's this storm that is making its way from Abernant, Alabama to Bull City. In Bull City, you guys aren't in the polygon. However, once that polygon gets extended, if it does, most likely it will, we can see that it will be in your guys' neck of the woods by about 3:35 p.m. So take precautions, get down to your lower levels of your home. Get out of a car if you're in a car. And of course, if you are in a mobile home, try to get out of there as soon as possible. Cloud lowering is reported in Tuscaloosa. So again, that means that we have this dropping storm that's about to produce a tornado. So really, this is an extremely bad event for residents in Tuscaloosa. You can see that there is this hook echo. The storm, the tornado is most likely right around here. You can see that this is where you have this heavy rain and hail potentially. But once you get over here towards about West Tuscaloosa, that is where you'll see those strong conditions. And looking at this available CAPE. So this CAPE, conductive available potential energy, is basically like Monster Energy drink for storms. So you have this extremely juicy atmosphere that is producing a lot of potentially dangerous storms across parts of Mississippi and, of course, parts of Alabama. You see, stretching from Mobile to Birmingham, you have these reds, but even the greens produce enough to help these storms really just create dangerous situations for residents. You can see that really there's this train is what it's called, a train of supercells, a train of storms that are just feeding off of each other and producing more and more severe weather events. And we have in Thomaston, just south of Demopolis, that is producing that tornado warning. Again, this tornado warning is till 4 p.m. Central Time, and it is making its way pretty quickly across the area to Sprott, Alabama. So if you are in any of these cities across from Thomaston to Sprott, you are in a dangerous situation and an event that is basically going to probably produce at least very heavy rain, if not that embedded tornado. Again, it's embedded in rain, so most likely you won't see it until it's too late. So might as well not see it at all and get into interior part of your home. Respect that polygon and stay safe. So you can see that there's just these polygons stretching across central Alabama. We have that one up in upper Mississippi, and of course we have more warnings and more watches out towards the west. Again, that line of systems that are really just dragging across, and by tonight we'll see another dangerous round of storms. Again, this is already producing warnings. It will continue to strengthen and potentially by about 7 p.m. and stretching into about 1 a.m. produce storms that are very dangerous, nighttime tornadic storms for parts of Mississippi and Alabama. And then now we look at this new warning that's being issued for Louisiana. And again, it's a tornado warning that is issued until 4:15 Central Time. So again, we have this organized storm system that is basically creating this rotation, and again, it's embedded in rain, so you won't see it. And it's extremely dangerous. It is stretching across the east. It's moving pretty quickly, and again, it'll get to about Rosebank by about 3:35 p.m., so it's really in your guys' neck of the woods in about 2 minutes. So get inside your home, interior part of your home, or get out of the mobile home and get to a safe place immediately. Honestly, just hunker down at this point. It's getting to you guys really quickly. In Woodville, it will reach you guys by about 3:47, so you guys have more time to prepare. However, don't waste that time. Don't squander it. Make sure you take your pets. Make sure you take your children, of course. Make sure you guys get into the interior part of your home. Throw a mattress on top of you if you feel like the interior part of your home is just not that safe. But just make sure that you take all the precautions you can to keep yourself safe, keep your family safe, and keep your pets safe. Again, you can see that there's just these really strong storms that are stretching across Louisiana, and they will make their way to Mississippi and Alabama, just adding on top of this already dangerous situation. We, of course, you can see the tornado watch that's just spreading across the southeast, and it is a tornado watch that's extremely valid. It's a PDS tornado watch. Again, potentially dangerous situation. They said this morning, you know what? This is an extremely bad event. It has a lot of that cape. It has a lot of rotation that will occur, what we call vorticity. And again, it's just creating this extremely dangerous situation and something that you should respect. If you're in a polygon, even if you're not, but you are in an extremely strong storm, you might as well get into that interior part of your home and stay weather aware, because of course a tornado can pop up pretty quickly, especially in this stretch of the rain, this system. Again, this is a very strong system and it's very disorganized. So these cells will pop up pretty quick and die pretty quick typically, and they will produce a pretty quick spin-up tornado that will potentially cause devastating damage, even if it's not even a higher grade, because again, we have these strong winds that are associated with this front. So it's not like just a tornado. It's tornado plus straight line winds that are producing gusts up to 30, 40, 50 miles per hour. Again, this is very strong winds that can already knock down trees and destroy your home if it knocks down a bunch of trees in your yard. And of course, adding on top of that, these embedded warnings with tornadoes, we see that they're still persisting in northern Louisiana, and of course we have this new one that is still live and thriving in parts of central Louisiana. Again, that tornado watch for this section of the southeast will persist until about 9 p.m. Central Time, and then we have that tornado watch that will also die at about 7 p.m. Central Time. But until then, stay weather aware. Now I'm going to toss things back off to Robert to talk about more of that dangerous situation, because this is extremely disorganized and extremely chaotic situation.
Right, exactly. We are seeing a major severe outbreak underway here right now. We're seeing a potential for maybe quite a few tornadoes tonight, as we have already seen here. I'm going to bring what I would call the weather lab in here right now to look at what we're seeing more of. These tornadoes here, we're seeing 2 tornado warnings continuing for Monroe right now, the area around Monroe. So if you are near right there right now, we are watching this right now. We actually have a new tornado warning for this cell right here, moving off towards the north-northeast. So if you are near this area right near just north of Monroe, you need to be getting to your safe shelter right now. And if you are in the city of Monroe, this storm is getting particularly concerning right here. You can see the hook echo right here. This is very characteristic of these type of storms heading towards the city of Monroe. I'd like to emphasize here, if you are anywhere in here, we like to say high risk, medium risk, moderate risk, slight risk. If you are anywhere in this event, this is such a major outbreak, you have a chance of seeing a tornado. Do not take this lightly. We're watching, again, this storm move off towards the north-northeast, maybe Rogers at around 347, Gledge at about 402. So again, these storms are going to potentially last quite a while, and we're watching the chance for a tornado here. I'm actually getting particularly concerned about this storm just northeast of Tuscaloosa, heading towards Jefferson County. We had a new warning on that storm just issued, and if you are looking, if you're following along at home on your velocity and your reflectivity radars right there, this storm has quite a tight couplet. Now, we're actually seeing on what we like to call correlation coefficient earlier. We saw quite a black area on that. That's what we usually see as an area for potentially tornado damage or tornado debris being tossed up in the air. So again, if you are in this area just north of the Birmingham suburbs, if you are right here in this warning, take cover now. Like I said earlier, watching this storm potentially going this way, you had time to prepare. You do no longer have time to prepare. Go to your safe areas now. If you're in Bull City, 338, Gilmore, 348, Flat Creek, 359. If you're in any of these areas, just take cover now. Make sure you are going to your safe shelter, getting your kids, go there now. This is a very dangerous storm that is confirmed. It is not just a potential tornado. This has been confirmed by reports to be on the ground. So we are watching that right now again. And this storm just continues to surprise me at how strong this is. You can see this hook echo right here on the radar, and I'm looking on here. You can see strong rotation with this storm as it moves off to the north-northeast. Thankfully, it's no longer in the city of Tuscaloosa. So for you guys in the immediate city of Tuscaloosa, it is no longer a threat to you guys, but northern suburbs, you are not out of the game yet. You have a potential to see more of this storm right now, and that is not a good thing for you guys as it moves off towards the north-northeast. We have a hook echo again here, so again, I'm getting particularly concerned about these storms because all of you guys in Alabama right now are under a threat of storms. And if you are under a tornado warning right now, take cover. But this is a particularly populated area right here that is under multiple tornado warnings, so we are watching those right now. And we are still seeing multiple storms across this area. Still, we actually, I believe, have a new tornado warning in the center of Alabama right now, just north of that sort of complex you're watching beforehand, a little bit south of this complex right here that has just been issued. And we see a little bit of circulation with that storm too. So it's starting to develop up here. And again, like I said here, this is going to be an event that lasts a while. This is not going to be, we're just watching a storm and then we'll cut back to a regular show here. This is going to be a long, drawn-out event, of course, here. This tornado warning is going to be until 3:45 p.m. This could potentially be an event that we are looking at all across the state here until potentially in the overnight hours. As Chandler said, this is a potentially 2-round event. We could be seeing some QLCS here with this line coming in, a quasi-linear convective system. Basically, that's a line of storms coming in that could prompt more tornadoes here. But we are watching these storms and getting very concerned about their development here. There is still, this one in particular is confirmed to be a tornado. A confirmed tornado was reported with this one. So as it moves towards the northern suburbs of Birmingham, we are watching these. And as I was saying, this is our new warning right here for a new storm. And we also have a continued tornado warning south of Annapolis. And this is an area that has been pummeled with tornado warnings this afternoon. We had a complex coming through multiple tornado warnings as it moved off towards the north-northeast. That's this complex now, but you guys are seeing more tornado warnings. And sort of to emphasize the fact that this will be a long-track event that we'll be seeing throughout the middle of the day and into the evening here. This is just continuing, and we have more showers and thunderstorms behind us we're watching. I'd like to look at this storm right here around Selma and see how it is doing right now. We see some pretty strong circulation with that storm. It is moving off towards the north-northeast. So if you are around Selma, if you are around this area, you need to be taking cover. But we are still watching this storm here too around Red Bay. This is again a tornado warning until 4:15 p.m. Again, this is a very dangerous situation for all of you guys. If you are in this tornado, if you are in this tornado warning, take cover now. Make sure you are taking your precautions as this moves off to the north-northeast. Dempsey, Crooked Oak, 344, 355. You could potentially see this storm if it holds up for you guys. So make sure you are taking your tornado precautions right now. Now I'm going to pass it off to Chandler to look more at more of our overall look.
That is right, yes. So again, we're in this dangerous situation. You can see that there is this warning that they have extended into Alabama now for this supercell. And that's just not a good thing. They're just persisting across the area. Again, Alabama, you guys are just not going to be in the clear for a long time. This is just an unfortunate event that is going to continue to bring dangerous conditions for most of the area. And of course, we can see that it will reach about Lime Rock at about 3:58 p.m. and even into Littleville by 4:10. Of course, this is starting to get a little bit farther away from the polygon. So, of course, Pleasant Site, you guys need to take shelter now. This is upon you guys basically in about a minute or two. So, again, if you are in the polygon or if you're immediately outside of it, get into your safe place, get into an interior part of your home, or if you don't have that option, find a safe place in your neighborhood, find a safe place in your town if you are really close by to one of those safe places. Again, it's an extremely dangerous situation. We also still have all these heavy rain bands and heavy rain showers, so again, flooding is not out of the question, and hail and just heavy rain in general is not out of the question. But again, these tornado warnings are embedded in rain, and they are hunting. They are coming towards Mississippi and Alabama at a pretty rapid pace. You guys will see them close to about 6 to 7 p.m. tonight in Central Time. You guys will see this strong line of storms out in the west. But again, what we're really concerned about are these discrete, isolated cells that are across central Alabama, especially this one just east of Tuscaloosa. This one is just ramping up. It's going really close to Birmingham, very close indeed, and it's an extremely dangerous situation. Again, this storm has been persisting for a little while now, and it is pretty much confirmed that there is a tornado somewhere embedded in this storm, and it's going to persist until about 4:30 p.m. Central Time. So again, extremely dangerous situation. One of those things that you guys have to stay prepared by getting into the interior part of your home if you're in this polygon, and if anybody lives anywhere near this polygon, especially even like Birmingham, you guys aren't in the polygon, but again, tornadoes are variable. They're pretty unpredictable, honestly. They're mobile. They can shift tracks extremely quickly, so they can shift out of this polygon in the matter of seconds. So again, stay prepared. But if you are just north and east of that polygon, like in Flat Creek, you guys can expect this storm to reach you by about 4:45 p.m. in Central Time. So again, it's an extremely dangerous event, and one of those things that if you see yourself right ahead of this storm, you need to take precautions now and get inside the interior part of your home, or get out of your car and get to a safe place if you're traveling for some reason today. Again, this storm in Tuscaloosa is just going to continue. So if you are in this warning right now, you will still see more of this severe weather as this Tuscaloosa tornado warned system continues to stretch north and eastward across parts of Bull City and obviously close, if not really inside Birmingham. So of course, we've seen things happen before where storms hit population centers. Tornadoes don't avoid cities. That is a mistake and something that many people think is true, but in fact is false. This tornado could potentially get close to Birmingham, Alabama, if not get into the city. Even if it doesn't as an actual tornado, it's still a tornado warning cell, and it's something that you should treat with as much respect and as much preparedness as possible. So again, this is an extremely dangerous situation in central Alabama. And then of course, zooming out, you can just see that there's a lot of different discrete cells, even in parts of South Alabama and stretching back into Mississippi. You can see that there's this warning, there's just a couple of warnings in Alabama that are pretty much covering parts of the Sweetwater region, and they're going to persist till about 4 p.m. Central Time and 4:15 Central Time. So again, these cells, they're pretty tight in rotation. They're rotating. They are indicating to us and to, of course, the National Weather Service and every meteorologist looking at this storm that there is some sort of potential for severe weather and some sort of potential for a tornado wrapped in this storm. So if you are in this polygon at all, you need to get out. Or you need to get out of your what you're currently doing and get into an interior part of your home, or if you're in a mobile home, drive out of that and get into a safer shelter. And of course, looking closer to parts of Waynesboro, of course, you guys have been dealing with some very strong storms. Again, this system has basically been tracking over you guys for about a couple hours, now, or at least an hour or two now. And we're looking at more severe storms and another warning that's just stretching towards the Gilbert town. And this warning will persist until about 4:30 Central Time. And even still, if you're not in the tornado warning, there's still a severe thunderstorm warning, and those have the potential to still have a tornado in them. They also indicate very strong storms with lightning and heavy rain and potential for hail. So again, if you're in any warning whatsoever, treat it as something that can take your life, because it can. No matter what it is, it can be a serious situation, and that's why meteorologists warn these storms. And again, this system right here is going to stretch from Waynesboro all the way up to potentially Pennington if it continues to persist. And we can see that it's just going towards Silas, Alabama right now. In Gilbertown, you guys are really just about to get hit at about 5:16 p.m. So again, this strong storm is headed your way. And then, of course, getting into Pennington, you guys are just now getting ready to experience some more stronger cells. You guys have a system that is moving away from you that is also warned, but you are not out of the clear yet. Of course, taking a bigger look at that picture, we have a very disorganized look, but I'm going to toss things off to Robert again so that he can discuss just how dangerous this event is, because, of course, we are looking at potential life-threatening situations.
Right, thank you, Chandler. Of course, we're looking at, I'd like to keep this on the live sort of wide look here to sort of take a sort of summary of what's happening here, because we can really focus in on some of these storms sometimes. But we have a tornado warning that we're watching here, looking at potentially the city of Birmingham. You need to be taking your precautions. We're talking about a complex of tornado warnings with these storms here. These are all discrete supercells moving their ways off towards the northeast here, and we are watching a tornado threat with some of these new supercells down here. Also a tornado warning up here for you guys in Red Oak, in northwest Alabama, excuse me. We are watching a tornado threat for you guys. And on this line here, we have multiple 1, 2 right now tornado warnings heading off towards the northeast. We're going to zoom in on these right now. Right now we're seeing a major situation with these tornado warnings. Just a little bit east of Alexandria is what we're looking at for you guys right now. This storm actually now in Mississippi. It was earlier in Louisiana, but it's moving its way towards US 61, a little south of Natchez. So right now we're looking at potentially some circulation with this storm, maybe seeing some rotation with this, but take it seriously. Go to your tornado shelter or your room, lower interior room of your place right now. If you're in this storm just west of US 61, tornado warning until 4:15 Central Time. Of course, most of this outbreak is happening in Central Time. We're here in Eastern Time in Tallahassee at our studios, but we are still watching for you guys across this entire area. Looking at potentially Lanehart 5:17, 4:52 Weasley, and maybe if it continues out all the way to Roxy, you could see it at 8:03. I'm not sure if that is exactly right on that number right there, but we're going to see this storm continue off towards the northeast because this is potentially, again, a long track storm. I'm continuing to look at a storm just northeast of Selma because we're having some more rotation right there. It's continuing to go off towards the northeast. It's going to really miss the city of Selma because it is off towards the northeast right here, this one. But again, you can see right here, this sort of notch. This is what we're looking at when we're looking at these kind of storms. We're looking for this distinctive shape, and that's what really makes us concerned. We're looking for rotation. We're looking for potentially a strong rotation with some of these storms. This is going to be until 7 Central Time, the tornado watch here, but the tornado warning is going to be until 4 Central Time as this storm continues to make its way just north. In fact, I believe it is crossing US 80 right now. So again, this is a major situation for all of you right here. Take cover now. This is a tornado-warned storm. Treat this as if it is on the ground right now. And of course, we are watching many of these tornadoes in Alabama right now. There are quite a few. We're going to go back to that Birmingham right now because I am still very concerned about that, the fact that it is so close to a population center. We're not saying it is going to be going to Birmingham because, of course, as you know, tornadoes can fall apart, and that is our hope right now. But we are still watching this storm as it makes its way off towards the northeast. It's still tornado warned. Both of these have been tornado warned for the last hour, and they continue to make their way off towards the northeast. We are watching 2 areas of circulation, one right here with this storm and one right over here with this storm. And both of them are making their way towards this sort of area north of Birmingham. This one seems to be taking a little more of a southerly track. This is what makes us so concerned. If you are in either of these tornado warnings, make sure to take cover. Actually, Chandler, I'm going to ask you to look at the rotation on this one right now. See if you can see how strong this storm is right now. It's important that we are looking to to warn people how these storms are looking, because this is potentially a major populated area. So we're looking, again, these tornado warnings are until 4:15 and 4:30. So if you could tell me how these storms are strong right now, Chandler, that would be good. Yeah, so we're looking at 4:15 to 4:30 for these tornado warnings right now. We're going to get his mic on in just a second. But we're looking as they move off towards the north-northeast, Interstate 22, Interstate 20. Again, if you are in these shaded areas right now, this is very important to take cover now. Again, treat these storms as if they are touching down right now. We do not know if they are confirmed. This one was previously confirmed earlier. But again, make sure you treat these storms as if they are touching down. So Chandler, if you could tell me what this storm is looking right here, that would be nice. Thank you. Yeah, actually, sorry. It looks like his mic is not working right now, but we are going to be looking at this storm moving off towards the north-northeast. Again, this is a this is potentially going towards Robbins Crossroads, Interstate 22 here, in Interstate 65, US 31. So again, these are major situations here. So if you are in the area of this storm, I would even say if you are off to the north of this storm, if you are towards the east, even in the city of Birmingham, again, you are not under this warning right now. You are not under a tornado threat at the moment. But as this storm continues to move off towards the north-northeast, again, I cannot stress this enough. Make sure you are in your safe areas. If you are continuing to move towards, if you're in this area, I would say it's probably not a good idea for you guys to evacuate right now because these are tornado warned. So take cover now. Actually, I would like to look at that Selma storm again real quick because it is still tornado warned. Actually, we have a new warning in place just southwest of that Selma storm. This is a new tornado warning, a new tornado warning storm. It seems like there's a little bit of circulation on that. So that's going to be, again, something we're watching here is all these storms. We can see very quick spin-ups here. This is the Selma one I was talking about earlier. This sort of Alberta storm now. This is a new one. And look at that. Look at that sort of notch right there. That is very indicative of a tornado right now. So again, as it moves off towards the north, it moves off towards the north-northeast. Again, I can't stress this enough. I'm not saying there is a tornado on the ground, but treat it as such. If you are in this area right now, 4:15 Central Time is when it expires. But this is a strong storm that has a potential of circulation. Many of these storms have quick spin-ups. So if you hear the sirens, you don't wait for anyone to tell you that there's a tornado coming in. If you hear the sirens, if you hear the warning, if you see something on your phone, if you have your no weather radio come off, which I would really suggest you get one for the next event, of course, because it is too late to be going out and shopping right now. But those are lifesavers. Go right now. So again, if you could tell me what the rotation looks like on this storm right now, because this is a very strong storm right now. It is moving its way towards Alberta and Uniontown. I'm going to check that again.
That's right. And Robert, as you were mentioning, just close to Tuscaloosa, we see that there is some rotation just north of Brookwood. So again, we have a potential dangerous situation with a tornado, just east of Tuscaloosa, and it's pretty tight rotation. Again, it's still persisting for, as you've said, about an hour now, and it is making its way just east and northeast, and it's getting pretty close to Birmingham. However, right now, if you're in Brookwood, I would suggest taking as much protection as possible by getting into the interior part of your building. Again, it's a very dangerous situation that we're in.
Right, exactly. If we could look at the Birmingham storm like he was talking about right now, that would be very helpful because, again, like I'm saying, we are watching all these storms. I like to focus on every single one because these are tornado warned. These could be potentially having warnings. But again, this is a very highly populated area, particularly on the I-20, I-65 corridors, where we have the city of Birmingham. We could potentially be seeing a dangerous situation coming. In fact, we actually have a new tornado warning that I want to go to right now, just sort of southeast of not near Little Rock, but southeast of Little Rock, near Monticello, near just west of the Mississippi River. This is, like I mentioned earlier, these are bubble-up storms. These can often seem like they're coming out of nowhere. And this is the really important thing. I believe James Spann say earlier today, this is why it's so important to just tell your neighbors, tell your family and friends who may not be watching this storm or these storms because they could think it's just a rain shower. These storms pop up so quickly. They might think it's just a rain shower there. They might not even know there's a severe risk going on. And this is a tornado-warned storm. I'm actually going to look at the rotation on the storm. It seems like it is starting to spin up, actually, as it goes towards Baxter. It's actually 510, 540 is what we're looking at here. If it continues to hold up, move off towards the north-northeast, again, we are watching this storm here it is going to be potentially a threat as you guys going towards the Mississippi River. And 631, McKee, again, all these areas, if you are in this warning, this is going to be a potentially dangerous situation for all of you guys here. So now I'm going to pass it off to Zach to look at more of our weather right now, more of the tornado warnings here. Again, this is a multimodal situation. We have many storms here that we're looking at moving in towards Louisiana, moving in towards Mississippi. Zach, tell us more about these storms.
Absolutely. I appreciate everybody staying here and coming early to the show. This is truly historic. History being made today. This is St. Patrick's Day, after all, and it is very likely we will be calling this the St. Patrick's Day outbreak as we go here into the future. So hope to God that we don't have a lot of fatalities and a lot of injuries today. We do have some injuries that have already been reported with a couple of today's storms. Hopefully that trend does not continue into the overnight hours, but unfortunately it looks like the tornado threat probably will. So just 1 second here. We're going to get right back to the radar for our last couple minutes of coverage. Once again, tornado warning for 4:30 Central Time here. If you're anywhere in the Comento, Baxter, or McGee area, so we start getting here 5:30 or so p.m. So these storms are long-lived. They are long-tracked, and we expect them to continue to remain that way. Storm moving pretty quickly here to the north and the east. Also, we have up towards the McGee area. You guys are right on the edge of the warning. It's heading that direction if this storm continues to stay on the path that it is right now. Everyone in McGee down towards Jerome, you guys really need to get inside right now. And if you see the yellow behind me, this is more tornado watches. So as this persists and gets into parts of Alabama and Mississippi, we're going to see the environment get even better as we get into the evening and overnight hours. The upper level support for these storms is going to continue to improve, which is bad news for everyone on the ground. Several tornado warnings here, good here towards the west of Montgomery. Moving up here towards Birmingham, just to the west of Birmingham, we have another storm pushing through. These are also both tornado warned. Let me get out of the way right now. Don't see a clearly defined hook echo necessarily like we were seeing earlier. However, radar indicated rotation with these storms usually cycle. So what happens, the hook comes down, as you saw there earlier. The tornado will be on the ground for a little while, and then it'll come back up into the storm. The storm will have to regenerate a little bit, and then it could produce multiple tornadoes over its lifetime. So something we definitely have to watch out for there. Once again, this storm, also moving to the north and the east, and it is just one of a multitude of storms all across the area here. Multiple tornado warnings, all kind of moving in that northeasterly direction. There's a nice hook echo kind of on that storm there, just west of Alberta. Yeah, you can see that little hook right there. So the tornado is going to kind of be in that little hook area, the little inflow of the storm kind of curling up and around like that. So that is a good indication your upper level support is looking really nice right now. Let's go ahead and get a track on this Alberta storm. Oroville by 4:06, Hazen by 4:10, Augustin by 4:24, Subtle by 4:27. If I called out any of those areas and you or your family members are living in that area, please get to your safe shelter immediately. This storm has really wrapped up here with the last couple of scans of the radar. It's looking more and more likely there could certainly be a tornado with this system. Once again, radar indicated rotation, if not already confirmed. Many of these storms have had confirmed tornadoes. However, the storms do cycle. So it's not necessarily that the tornado itself is on the ground for an indefinite length of time, but the environment is still conducive. Always assume with today's environment, if the storm is warned, assume it could have a tornado on the ground. This is not a typical scenario. Toxie down towards Silas. Once again, that area still having the tornado warning. Butler, it might just miss you there to the south, but go ahead and be prepared. You have a nasty squall line coming through here with heavy wind, rain, potentially some hail with that as well. 4:06 p.m. up towards Needham, Felltown, Butler, Almwell. You guys are all in the path of this system over the next 20 to 30 minutes. So even if you are not necessarily yet in the tornado warning, it's always a good idea to have your radar app, have your weather radio, be prepared, and know what's coming your way, because these storms are moving quickly. They warn and unwarn unexpectedly sometimes, and even though the environment itself is really nice, there's a couple more discrete storms over there towards just the east of I-55. have to watch these as they start to move into the evening and into a more conductive environment tonight. Any or all of these, this one only has a severe thunderstorm. And I say only because, you know, when we're talking large, violent tornadoes, you gotta, sure. So what's going on, Robert was wanting me to ask a question.
Right, so we are looking at these storms right here. We're looking actually at the Silas storm that is sort of wrapping up here off towards right there. You can see in the middle of the shot here.
Right.
This is a major storm that is wrapping its way up. This could be a very dangerous situation for Selma. This storm just developed very quickly, so I just wanted to take a note of that real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just west there of Alberta. Does seem to be wrapping up. There you can see the little ball. That is not what you want to see. At the little end of the hook, once you see the ball, very likely, and there we just got another new tornado warning. So the storm is definitely it's definitely intensifying. Definitely classic looking supercell, kind of the curved shape, the little hook in the ball. The ball could be debris. We don't have that debris checker, the correlation up at the moment. However, it definitely is looking like that on radar. Don't wait to see if that is in fact true. You don't want to become part of the debris ball. You want to be underground, well away from it, and you want nothing to do with this storm right here. If you were anywhere to the north and east of this storm, anywhere between Uniontown and Selma, you need to be underground right now. We're getting your way there immediately. Get your friends and your family there. Call and text everyone you know that lives here. Get them underground. Get them to a safe place. Over there up towards Marion as well. That storm right now, not the one we're really worried about. So this storm could be moving out and you think the storms are over. It's this next round, and it's multiple rounds of storms training over the same areas. Here over Silas and Toxie, just to the southeast of Toxie right now, looks like where the tornado warned part of the storm will be. Once again, all of these bright pink colors though as well, this could all be a hail core. So even though we might have a tornado down here, it's radar, radar is saying there could be a little tornado down that little appendage right there. This could be a hail core, and that can also do damage. We're also talking about flooding rains. We've had lots of high water rescues today. Straight line wind damage. I mean, these are severe thunderstorms regardless of whether or not there's a tornado in there. 60, 70, maybe 80 mile an hour winds in a straight line. That can do plenty of damage. It can damage your roof. It could knock a tree, onto your car or to your home. So once again, all of those threats are deadly, and it's not necessarily just a tornado. Bollinger by 4:26 p.m. Central Time, and Lou by 5:30. So if the storm does decide to hold together that long, it is moving quickly in that northeastern direction. So once again, please, if you are in any of these areas, Autumnville, that's a few hours away. I mean, we're really stretching it out there. But if this line holds together, your threat is only going to continue into those evening hours. So, please make sure you have a way to get your warnings. Make sure that you are in a safe place. And if you're not under a warning right now, but you're in a mobile home, or maybe you're outside working your garden or doing something, maybe you're at work right now, getting ready to head on your way home, maybe you're watching us, on your break or something, have some sturdy place to get to, something in mind. If you, like I said, if you live in a mobile home, that is not where you want to be. These are not little baby tornadoes. Not that you ever want to be in a mobile home in a tornado, but this is not a typical day, and it's not a typical atmosphere. Multiple rounds of storms, multiple things as we go into the evening. We could see this next line already starting to develop, and this is probably where the next threat is really going to be. Between Jackson down to New Orleans, already starting to see the kind of C shape there. Maybe we're going to get some wind out of this as well, but it's not necessarily all congealed together yet. We still have discrete little storms, and the discrete storms are really where the greatest long-lived, violent tornado threat is with these systems. Central Mississippi, over towards central Alabama, once again, these are not tornado warned, but these are the ones I'm interested in next. They're all out here by their lonesome. That means they have this whole area of untapped air to really fire up, and that is the energy that's really going to make these things go. Once again, also, just south of Memphis, this looks like some light rain, but any one of these storms is tapping into a potentially really it's rocket fuel for these storms. Plenty of energy, and they all have the shape. See how all these storms are curved? Down here, you have this little hook shape to the storm. These are all developing supercells, and any one of them could produce a tornado as we get into the next couple of hours. Just an indication, all those storms kind of have that same look, and that, as a meteorologist, is something that's really scary to us. Going to take another look here just west of Birmingham. The storm is passing, thankfully, to the west of Birmingham proper. However, a very populated area up towards Flat Creek. So if you're anywhere here between Flat Creek and Birmingham, please get inside and get to your safe place. Also, there has been tornado associated with this, and you can see the hook kind of down here on the bottom, not necessarily as well defined as some of the others we have seen today, but once again, there could be a tornado in here. It's very likely a rain-wrapped tornado that you're not going to be able to easily see. 437 Ezra, Maytown by 5:30 tonight, so if it holds together that long, which we expect the storms, there's nothing really to kill these storms off. So it's going to continue in this direction up towards Kimberly tonight. So once again, it's very unlikely this same storm will hit you in Kimberly at 7:30 with a tornado. But it doesn't mean that your threat is over. It's heading in your direction. And just because a storm that doesn't have a tornado or doesn't get a warning passes through, doesn't mean the storms are done. We're talking about an all-night threat, especially as we get here towards parts of Alabama. So overall, not too bad. I think Robert's going to come in now and talk a little bit more about the line in Louisiana.
Right, thank you. Of course, we are looking at a major multimodal setup here. We are looking at the Alabama storm. We are looking at we're looking at the Alabama storms here. We are also looking at the line potentially forming here. Sorry for technical difficulties here, but we are looking at potentially seeing multiple tornadoes on multiple regions here. Might not just be Alabama, might not just be Mississippi. We could also be seeing some in Louisiana too. So we are looking right here, seeing some tornado warnings in Alexandria, or sorry, excuse me, east of Alexandria here. These tornado warnings, this tornado warning storm has been warned for the last about 30 or so minutes, and it's making its way again towards the northeast here. And this is again a concern. These storms are just in a ripe environment. They are moving their way off towards the northeast here. They are in a prime sector for development, so we're going to start seeing a lot more warnings pop up on these storms. But if we could go back to the Birmingham storm here real quick, because again, I'm still very concerned about that storm, the fact that it is still a tornado warned, still seems to be wrapping up and circulating, and still moving towards the northern suburbs of Birmingham. And again, you can see the many tornado warnings on this map showing us here, but this right one here in Birmingham, you can still see the notch here. You can see it very clearly here. It looks like it might be missing the city to the north. I don't want to say for sure again, because this tornado can move, but again, it seems to be moving off towards the northern area of the city of Birmingham, but that doesn't mean that you guys are out of the woods here. Very populated area. In fact, Chandler, I think, could you talk to me a little bit more about the storm and the region that it will be affected by?
That's right, yes. So we're looking at potentially some storms, the kinetic storm heading towards Rocky, this close to Tuscaloosa, and as well as Short Creek. So yes, again, we have some.
It's either 5 or 6. We're doing the game show. Okay.
In your safe place, make sure you get into your interior home, because these areas close to Valley Creek and North Johns, as well as Rock Creek and Short Creek, I don't know why there's so many creeks, but all these towns in these regions, they need to, anybody in these regions that you know of or that you live in, you need to head to your safe places.
Right, okay, so again, we are here watching this severe weather situation. We are about to just sign off for a little bit just so we can prepare for our show coming up, but we will have continuing severe weather coverage over the next few hours here on FSU Weather, so don't change the channel. Just make sure you're here. We will be live at 6 for our normal show, and then again, covering after the normal show, more of this severe weather outbreak as it continues with this line here. I'm Robert Zott. Thank you for tuning into this very serious weather outbreak.